well attack on a U.S. dollar soon, and it's not going to be a joke this time. The other thing is actually as Russia's been getting the squeeze, one of the main concerns is Russia, will it fall apart? And what will happen to the nuclear arsenal of Russia? But, Putin's got it under control. He's got these signs all over the lavatories and bathrooms in the Kremlin. No drugs or nuclear weapons allowed inside the restroom. So he's got it under strict license law right from himself that you just can't bring a nuke inside the restroom at any time. But let me put it this way. There's going to be an attack on the dollar. This is the dollar right here. The paper tiger, the paper elephant, or whatever the hell you have here, the paper dog, the paper porky pig, the paper bison. I don't know what it is, man. It's one of those things. It's folded up into a critter that walks on four legs and has a trunk. It might be a little elephant. I don't know. Maybe it's Dumbo with the big ears. But the thing is, why I say there's going to be an attack on the dollar soon is, first off, I know Russia's threatened about selling off their dollars. They're not a problem, them selling off their dollars, because they don't have that many dollars, and they probably got to sell off their dollars because they're going broke. But here's the one where they're partners with is China. Now, if China sells off their foreign reserves, that could be a major hit on the dollar, and actually I'm going to tell you a couple different reasons why. Well, one is they hold a lot of dollar reserves. Number two, they're having problems, the worst problems they had in 25 years. They might have to sell their dollar reserves, whether it's an attack on the dollar or not. Number three is that the dollar's been on a tear, in other words, doing really great for the last few years. In other words, where do you think it's going to go from here? Is it more likely, if anything, it's going to stay stagnant relative to other currencies at best, or maybe retreat a little bit and get back down to maybe 80, the index being at 80 instead of way up where it is now. So that's another thing. Number four is, I talked about this before, with the low oil prices being really low, with the low oil prices being depressed, the oil price being depressed, in other words, it's created a less demand for dollars across the world, because that means that people hold dollars to buy oil. In other words, countries hold dollars to buy oil. That's what keeps up the dollar afloat. That's what keeps the demand for dollars. The higher the price of oil, the more demand for dollars. The less demand for oil, the less demand for dollars, because they need less dollars to buy the same amount of oil. Plus, oil's demand seems to be suppressed. So, it looks like it's pretty bad for the dollar, So the Queen of Sheba over here in the New World Order is having some problems, What they might do too, another thing where the dollar's probably going to, or the government's going to get in trouble, is they're talking about raising interest rates. How the hell are they going to service the debt with higher interest rates? There's a limit to how much they can do. I mean, as it is right now, a large percentage of the U.S. government budget is going to just servicing the debt. Any tick up on the interest rates is going to eat up the whole slice of the pie. It's going to eat up most of the pie right there. I don't know how they're going to do this. They're talking about raising interest rates. I don't see how they're going to do that. But anyway, the devil's coming down from the mountain. And, the problems are not just here in the West. This is what I got to reiterate again. A lot of people are thinking that Putin's a good guy. He's not. They're all bad news. The Chinese elite are bad news. As a matter of fact, most of the Chinese millionaires that are newly rich are moving the hell out of China, and the number one location is the UK, or it's Singapore, or the USA, or Australia, or Canada. It's like they're coming over to the West. It's not telling you. And Russia, we don't even have the statistics on Russia since 2013, but since 2013, I know they've been moving out of Russia a lot from 2003 to 2013. But since Putin invaded Crimea, a lot of the Russians are moving out. As a matter of fact, they're trying to install capital controls. But they're going to fight back. And the Russians can't do a whole hell of a lot, except maybe with their nuclear arsenal. But the Chinese can, as far as doing something with the dollar. And, the devil's going to be coming down onto the elite. The elite are going to be feeling it. Now, I think the elite do know what the hell's going on. Like, in other words, they pretty much keep the public in the dark, and they actually tell the public a lot of garbage. Like, I can actually reiterate what Goldman Sachs said a little over a year ago on the outlook for 2014, late 2013. They were telling you the energy sector was one of the best places to invest. I got a memory like an elephant. Not that I was really paying attention or believing them. Like, I paid attention to what they say, but I don't believe what they say. But look what happened to the oil sector and the energy sector in 2014. It got slaughtered. Now, what they're telling you for 2015, they're telling you that they expect oil to even go lower. I don't know, but I can tell you one thing I do know from past history. These guys lied a lot, and as a matter of fact, when oil hit over $140 a barrel in late June of 2008 and very early July 2008, Goldman Sachs was telling people it was going to go definitely over $200 a barrel, and it went all the way down to 35. So, something could happen on the horizon here that could change the whole situation, which is not going to be good for the middle class, because that's actually, the low oil prices are actually getting things more equal for, the classes that don't have too much money and the people that are on the top. It's actually equalizing things a little bit more. Today, in the future, I think, when the oil prices are going to be going really high, you're going to be sitting there on a basketball on the side of the road with your thumb out, hitching a ride instead of paying for the gas. Just like old girl here is doing, You're just going to have to be waiting for that ride, thumbing the ride, or you're going to be doing some carpooling big time or whatever the hell it is. Now, if this lady was on the side of the road sitting on a basketball, I'd pick her up for no problem, what I mean? But it all depends on how good your appearance is, I guess. But anyway, just beware of the people out there also in not only the major establishment money market people, but also the financial people that are out there in the alternative world. They talk with a forked tongue, or a tuning fork tongue, or whatever the hell kind of tongue they got. They got two sides to every message. I know the basic principles of what's going to happen. It's kind of like a wait and patient game. When silver gets legs, it's going to go up more than you expect, and that's when they're going to be telling you the sky is going to fall, the dollar's going to go to zero. Dollar's not going to zero, but it may lose a lot of clout in the world. I think the last step of the elitist plans are to devalue the dollar and remove the dollar, or not. Well, remove the dollar not as an important currency in the world, but remove its status as the world reserve currency in the world. But it does look like China's out there to, it's going to be China and Russia together attacking the dollar. Basically, they're not actually, I would say it's attacking per se. It's actually they're making a financial decision. Like, in other words, if you would have been smart to hold dollars the last few years because it's been on a tear, right? It's been doing good. But when something goes up and it's been on a tear and it's up doing better than every other currency, in the world for like so long, it's got a limit. Even if, it's not going to go to zero, it's not going to get like trashed to like really, really bad, but it's going to have a cycle. It's going to go back down again. There was a time when the euro looked like it was on a tear. Now it looks like the dollar's the big safe haven. But, that's history. That's history. The future says otherwise. And the Chinese and the Russians would be smart. Well, the Russians I don't think have many dollars, but the Chinese do. And they've been having a lot of problems down in their economy. They're probably going to have to sell them off. And who the hell is going to buy them? I mean, I don't know. Where are they going to go? Especially on the open market, there isn't that many dollars out there to be absorbed. That, in other words, a lot of oil now, since now the oil is so low priced, it doesn't require that many dollars, a lot less dollars to buy the same amount of oil, which is creating a lot less demand for dollars right there. On top of it, if China dumps the dollars while it's nice and high and it's worth a lot, what's that going to do? I don't know. Anyway, message from Jesus Kitty. We'll interrupt this message right. It's this broadcast right now. Jesus Kitty says, instead of picking your nose, find some old toys to donate to charity. So that's from Jesus Kitty. So, while you're worrying about every damn thing. But it does look like, the future's going to change pretty soon because interest rates is one of the big things, and it also looks like the financial troubles with China's doing the worst they've been doing in the last 25 years. Russia, yeah, I know. Russia's saying they're selling their dollar reserves. I know. They got to sell their dollar reserves to make ends meet. But they don't have that many dollar reserves. China's got a lot of dollar reserves. Now, the other thing is, most of the treasuries that are bought are actually held domestically. But it don't have to be most of anything to make a huge difference. As a matter of fact, that's the way it works in any market. You only got to be a couple percentage short to drive the price up or down, one way or the other. You can have a little bit of an oversupply, drives the price down a real lot. A little bit of an undersupply or over demand drives the price way up. In other words, you don't have to be 50% short on something to make the price go up 50%. If you're 2% short on something, the price goes way up. That's why oil can actually change really fast. I don't know if there's going to be a conflict in the Middle East or not. I don't know. It looks like Netanyahu's pissed off again, and I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they'll strike. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But when it happens, all bets are off. All charts are thrown out the window. That's always been the case. As a matter of fact, before World War I, they used to have all these experts with all these algorithms and stuff. Before they had computers, and they would have all these different ways of trading. As soon as World War I started, those guys lost money. I was reading I forgot who they were, but I was reading stories about them. They were doing great until World War I started. And in other words, all the charts and all the freaking hypotheses that you had set up got thrown out the window because the devil's coming down from the stairs of the castle to the side door. You know what I mean? And the situation has changed. That's exactly it. I don't know if this is the devil, but she's got some weird... She dresses kind of funny for a devil. I could tell you that right now, especially with them horns. But, I don't know. They got their plans, and what's going to happen is pretty obvious. It's just that it's been a hell of a lot longer than you think. That's the thing. I don't really, actually right now, the things are looking bad, and you're seeing silver dropping and stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't take much to freaking change the whole situation. And it's not really the global supply and demand and all this kind of crap. A lot of it is emotions. A lot of it is. And, if they find like, hey, where the hell, if currencies don't look good, they try to get into hard assets. Silver's not going to be, everybody's going to try to pour into silver. That would be ludicrous because it would really drive it up to like some astronomical number. But it's enough that it could change the situation overnight. But I think silver's going to go up because I think the dollar's going to go down. Not necessarily that the silver's going to... Like, in other words, in Russia, silver's doing great and against rubles. Hey, the Ukrainian money, Ukraine, I don't know how much inflation they got. Silver's doing great against that. Now, we're not going to get into that kind of situation. But I think the dollar's going to start losing some of its clout, partly because the interest rates going up. They're not going to be able to service all that debt. And they keep adding more and more to the stupid budget all the time. And the other damn thing is, China and Russia is going to start dumping dollars. And they should, really. If something's been doing well and you're holding dollars and they're worth more and more and more and more, how high do you think it's going to go from here? Is it going to keep going higher? I'm not even knocking a dollar. I'm just telling you, if you were holding dollars at this point and you held them for so many years and you had interest and you had, just plain cash, you had some small, tiny amount of interest, the dollar's worth is strong now. What's depressed? Commodities, right? Hey, you make your sense that they be dumping into commodities now because commodities are extremely suppressed. And that could start an avalanche the other way. But I don't think the dollar. The dollar is going to survive. I'm not going to tell you the end of the world is here for the dollar, but I'm telling you that it's not going to stay on its super high tear for years on end the way it's been doing. it's going to have another down cycle. And, you know, I mean, they call it an attack by Russia and China, but it's probably more of a financial move. So they'll go into something else, you know. Anyway, just want to get you warned on this because I think that's the situation. I don't know. It's not going to happen in a week. But, you know, even looking at what's going on in the markets, the regular markets, the Dow and the S&P, they've been on a tear for a long time. Now, Soros must have lost his ass on a lot of shit already, but he's got more bearish bets on the S&P. He lost a significant amount of money on that already. But that doesn't mean he's going to keep losing. The other ones, I think, expire in late 2015. So, you know, something going to happen in 2015 where the markets all come down and Soros is walking away like even though he lost part of his bet, he's still freaking making out. It's crazy how the situation happens, because it takes a lot longer for something to change because people have the attitude that it's going to continue ho-hum the same way. They think it's going to continue forever and ever. And it's like part of the reason the dollar's strong too is because of the psychological and historical precedent it's established. You know, if you said like some other basketballs were worth more money or something, you know, people would be saying, you know, no, the basketballs aren't worth more money because it's not a currency or whatever. But if that was, you know, it's embedded in your head for the last 100 years, well, you would be thinking that too, right? That's partly why the dollar's good too, because people have been brainwashed across the world, you know, that it's a very strong, stable country and, you know, where it's coming from. But, you know, it may not be because we got too much debt over here. And once they raise those interest rates, oh boy, goodbye. So anyway, a lot of poor people out there. So Jesus Kitty says, instead of picking your nose, find some old toys and donate them to charity. Meow.